Good morning, supervisors, on this very rainy day morning. Happy New Year. So my name is Dr. Laura Solorio, and I'm the president of Protect Monterey County. While we understand that the judgment has not been entered in the lawsuit brought on by Chevron, Aera Energy, and other parties, we encourage the board to appeal Judge Will's decision to allow wastewater injection to continue and to allow the oil companies to expand the drilling in Monterey County. While we are pleased that he upheld the ban on fracking, we ask the board to uphold the will of the voters who passed Measure Z in November of 2016. Monterey does have authority over land use under its jurisdiction. Risky oil operations can jeopardize the health and economy of our county. The oil industry knew about climate change and the association with greenhouse gases more than 40 years ago and did nothing about it. Even in a progressive state like California, the oil industry, with its massive contributions to political campaigns, continues to contaminate our environment and affect the health of our citizens. The buck should stop in Monterey County. Support the will of the voters and appeal Judge Will's decision. Thank you very much. And I just say, I guess we're everybody, but these are all members of Protect Monterey County. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Beverly.
Good morning, supervisors. I'm Dr. Beverly Bean, Salinas, and I want to talk about Measure Z. It is easier to talk about the threat of climate change than to actually take any action to reverse it. Of course, you may, like the current president, not accept the overwhelming scientific consensus. I hope that is not the case. It is imperative that Monterey County continue to assert the right of local government to act to prevent global warming. We must move away from increased extraction of fossil fuels and the contamination of our aquifers by wastewater injection. That is why citizens voted for Measure Z. Measure Z is not preempted by state or federal law. Many other counties in California with oil and gas activity have local regulations. Monterey can have its own regulations too. The recent court decision ignored over 100 years of cases that have consistently upheld local government's right to protect communities from the dangers of oil and gas extraction. The county must do its duty and stand up for the people who voted overwhelmingly for the protections of Measure Z. We expect our elected officials to fight for their constituents and protect our communities. Please decide that the county will take this case to appellate court. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Steve Denmark. I'm a retired general surgeon, and I'm here to speak to ask you to appeal. I'm a friend of Judge Will's. I was really disappointed in his thought processes and his decision. Simply this, water is already the most precious resource we have. Oil is not. Water is, and it is becoming a global threat. And Monterey County has no plethora of water. We all know that. We depend on groundwater. So it's very simple. We do the safe thing. We don't take risks. That's all I'm here to appeal to you to do, is do the right thing, do the safe thing. And also, by doing that, you will affirm the right of the people to self-determination. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Pierce, and I'm a full-time resident and voter in the county. It's no surprise that the oil industry would try to intimidate our county. We must defeat their interference with our right to determine land use. Legal history supports the right to local regulation. Attorneys for Measure Z are confident that the measure was strictly written and is not preempted by state or federal law. We can successfully appeal the court's judgment. The defense of local control is in our hands. The county must uphold our ability to regulate oil operations that put at risk the health and safety of the people and the security of the county's economy based in agriculture and tourism. Monterey County is in a spotlight now, and you as county supervisors must not appear weak. This is an opportunity for strong, visible, and extremely important leadership. Your constituents expect you to defend the law they voted for. County must stand up for maintaining local control of land use, especially right now. Only last Thursday, the federal government proposed the largest expansion of offshore oil and gas drilling in U.S. history. Our coast is in its designated Central California zone. An oil spill could devastate our fisheries, tourism, and rural quality of life. But as you know, Monterey is one of the 9 coastal counties with local laws banning onshore infrastructure for oil. Local land use laws are vital to defend them. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you, board members. My name is Barbara Evans. I live in Carmel. I'm a member of Protect Monterey County. I first got involved to ban fracking when I marched around the Capitol in Sacramento in 2014. I am doing this because there is nothing more important to life than water. All living things depend on it. I understand you will be deliberating about Measure Z lawsuit. In my email to each of you yesterday, I asked you to join us in appealing Judge Will's decision. Further to that, I have a question and a couple of comments from my soapbox. In a recent KSBW news piece about the budget deficit, there was a statement made that $4 million was budgeted, set aside, for the defense of the lawsuit. I asked the question, has all that been spent? Now I'm on my soapbox. Since the 1950s, when Rachel Carson wrote The Silent Spring, industry has amply demonstrated that it pollutes and does not clean up after itself unless forced to. It wields unfair influence with the lure and seduction of money. How much collateral damage is acceptable? Money corrupts. We know this. The power and resources of the oil industry are formidable, and the specter of financial consequences that could be inflicted are daunting. For, unfortunately, one would not expect the industry to voluntarily wind down operations and accept the changes afoot that the majority wants. I hope in your deliberations on this complex situation that you will find a way to see it through to conclusion of the appeal process. We can do so much more when we work together. May Monterey County demonstrate leadership in protecting our rights, our environment, and our water.
Good morning. I was fortunate to be born in this beautiful county and have lived and voted here most of my life. I am one of your constituents, one of the majority who voted for Measure Z, the majority. And today I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Though many of us are appalled at the decision of the Superior Court on Measure Z, we are not surprised. I am hoping that you, our supervisors, will see this as an opportunity for Monterey County to be a national leader in the fight against climate change. Let me repeat that. I am hoping that you, our supervisors, will see this as an opportunity for Monterey County to be a national leader in the fight against climate change. By appealing the Superior Court's decision on Measure Z, Monterey County will take a stand and show leadership in protecting our precious environment. By appealing the Superior Court's decision on Measure Z, Monterey County will be a leader in protecting local government rights as we fight to protect this beautiful planet we live on. This is no insignificant decision that you will be making. You are undoubtedly aware of the damage fossil fuels are inflicting on our planet. You are also aware of the damage that will inevitably result if the oil companies are not stopped. If we fight and win this one, it may help turn the tide and give local governments the knowledge that they can care for their constituents and help save the planet. It is in the best interests of all for you to be bold. Be bold. Stand up for what is right and protect Monterey County and its residents who voted for you and for Measure Z. Please appeal the Superior Court decision on Measure Z. Our lives depend on that.
Good morning, supervisors. I'm Ronald Allen, retired principal from the MUSD. Measure Z is a critically important measure to ensure that the salad bowl of our nation, Salinas Valley, part of our county, is kept pristine and unpolluted. There are many jobs dependent upon this miraculous agricultural valley, and the thought of having it polluted or damaged is not tolerable to life in our area. And for that matter, to hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people, not only in our country, but also around the world who buy our produce. As we have all seen, accidents do happen with oil drilling and production. And now with unnamed toxic chemicals being pumped into our ground, there is the increased danger of these leaking into our groundwater, even though the intention is to not let this happen. As you know, we are in an earthquake-prone state. This is why the people of our county so clearly passed Measure Z to ensure that this does not happen. One cannot just create another incredible, miraculous growing area as the one we are so fortunate to have in our county. We know that the overwhelming majority of the scientists, over 90%, have clearly told us that we need to transition as fast as possible from using fossil fuels to renewable energy sources to slow down the dramatic and disastrous consequences of climate change. Just yesterday morning, I read on CNN that the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration announced that 2017 was the costliest year ever for weather and climate disasters in the United States, totaling $306 billion. This is just the beginning. This is just in our country, and this does not mention the loss of life or damage that is occurring around the world due to climate change. Now is the time to do everything we can to move as quickly as possible to fully implement the full intent of Measure Z. This is an opportunity for us to demonstrate that our county can and will be a leader in protecting our environment by moving toward a sustainable future, fighting climate change, and protecting local government rights. The people have spoken and voted to support this cause. And the people who might be losing their jobs in the oil industry have the chance to get trained and work through the Monterey Bay Community Power, which is being implemented. We therefore feel strongly that the county needs to support this important measure and ask that you please appeal Judge Will's decision on Measure Z. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your efforts and your support in the support cause. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I am Lori Avey, and I'm resident of Monterey County and co-chair of Sustainable Monterey. I just want to reiterate what everybody said. It is time to stand, not only with your constituents who put you in office and clearly voted for these protections, but to stand with the next generation of children and grandchildren. This is your opportunity to show that Monterey County leads the way in government rights to carry out the will of the people. Please protect our water by appealing the current decision.
Thank you. Next, we have Kathleen Craig.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Kathleen Craig. I live in unincorporated Monterey County in Carmel. And I've written to each of you an email, so I won't belabor my points. I would just like to thank very much Supervisor Alejo and Supervisor Adams in her absence for responding to my email. It really shows me a sincerity in your representing your constituents, and I would again like to request that you support appealing Judge Will's decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning. I'm Dr. Roger Craig. I'm a retired NASA scientist, and my specialty in my career appointments with NASA was planetary atmospheres. I studied the planet Venus at great length. You may or may not be aware that the planet Venus, its study, was the predecessor to us learning about greenhouse effects. It has a runaway greenhouse effect to the extent that even though it's very similar to the planet Earth, no life could possibly exist on it. The surface is hot enough from its greenhouse to melt lead, to give you an example. That's not quite what I came to tell you, just to emphasize I do believe that the greenhouse effect is real. Regarding Measure Z, which was voted overwhelmingly in by our comrades, I do applaud Dr. Wills for wanting to respect the rights of property owners to utilize their property in a good way for them. But I think there's an exception should be made when their use of the property gets into my space by making my environment intolerable. Historically, the counties and the municipalities have voted against some uses of properties that does affect the general well-being. Well, I believe that's the case with Measure Z, and I really think Judge Wills's decision we should make every attempt we can to overwhelm it and implement Measure Z to the fullest. Thank you very much.
Good morning, supervisors. It's a new year, and thank you for the chance to be here, and thank you for considering the appeal. I'm a resident of Carmel since 1975. I'm a realtor for Sotheby's International Realty. I'm treasurer for Communities for Sustainable Monterey County, and I'm a steering committee member of Sustainable Carmel. I have no children. I'm single. This planet is the only legacy I have to leave to future generations. I'm here today to ask you to appeal Judge Will's decision and protect our water, land, air, for us living here now and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Andy Shaw-Coron. I'm a Romas. I sat through the 4 days of trial and listened to the oil industry make arguments that harken back to the arguments pre-Civil War regarding the absolute right of property owners to do whatever they want. Over time, a large body of law has developed that says that property owners are not the preeminent consideration in determining how the public decisions are upheld or challenged. In California, we're a home rule state that gives broad authority to cities and counties to use their authority over land use and development to make decisions that benefit the people. In addition, in California, we have the initiative process started in 1910 by Republican Hiram Johnson that gave the people direct authority to enact law. The decision by Judge Wills imperils both the sanctity of the initiative process and your authority in terms of local land use. That is why the decision by the judge must be appealed. Otherwise, you're in a very bad position to make decisions regarding any industrial activities in your county. And essentially, the people here deserve the right to know where you stand on these issues. I urge any decision you make to be done in open session so that every person in this county can see whether you will intend to uphold the will of the people that was voted for by 56% in spite of the oil industry outspending those who support this measure by 18-1. Thank you, and consider that appeal.
Happy New Year. I'd like to put the decision about whether to appeal Judge Will's decision, which you will all have to make, in the context of the times that we live in. As you probably know, at the beginning of this year, the Trump administration has moved to open nearly all offshore waters to drilling. I'd also like to remind you that several decades ago, the citizens of Monterey County, like our neighboring Santa Cruz County voters, voted to pass a citizens initiative to ban offshore drilling. And I see Measure Z as an extension of that. You know, no one has challenged the offshore drilling except Mr. Trump recently. I think that environmental policy that's coming out of Washington, D.C. is pretty disastrous these days. So action by local governments like this one is one of our best lines of defense for protecting our water, both onshore and offshore. The other thing I wanted to mention, I think it's been mentioned a little bit before, is that the decision that you're making hopefully will not be entirely in closed session. I understand it is litigation, but I hope that your vote could be public so that we would know what your votes are as supervisors. I think that because this is a citizens initiative, we have a right to hear some level of discussion that's not as confidential, and also know how you all voted. So I hope you can be as transparent as possible. Thank you so much.
Good morning, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I've been a volunteer with Measure Z of Protect Monterey County since the beginning, and I've had the honor to see the democratic process really work in Monterey County. I learned that most of us did what everyone does when you care about something. You educate yourself about it, and then most of the time what we spent was going around and asking other people, did you know about this? What do they know about fracking, wastewater injection, and what's happening in southern Monterey County, and how that affected the rest of the county. And so, to me, that process really works in this county, that you have an idea, you put it out there, you let people know about it, and then you say, it took a lot to get it on the ballot, and 56% of the vote, the will of the people was heard, and we felt, well, we had a great beginning. So we know that the court process was probably going to get appealed. But what I saw through the process was, yes, we know these things, you guys have a lot of experience, but a lot of young people took leadership roles, and I really saw them take what was important to them and step up and really take leadership positions to protect their future in Monterey County and say, I want to make a future here. Part of that is protecting water. And so I'm appealing to ask in open session and be as transparent as possible to say, we want everyone to know what we believe in, that's the best for this county. And we believe that appealing that and moving forward to make this go to the next level of appeals to the court process is this next level of the democratic process. So I appeal to you to both support those people who have stepped up and really taken ownership of what it means to be a leader, and be a leader to those people who want to be leaders. Be an example. So thank you, and I hope that you support the appeal of Judge Will's decision.
Good morning, Happy New Year. My name is Dayami Cupul. I'm a former teacher in Salinas since 1975. I just want to remind you what you already know, that in November of 2016, 73,877 voters from Monterey County voted to pass Measure Z, and that was an overwhelming victory for the people here in our county. I urge you to appeal Judge Will's decision to stand by the people, 73,877 people of Monterey County who voted to protect our waters, our health, and our environment. We, and by we I mean you as our representatives, have the duty to refuse to be intimidated by power and money and do the right thing. We have a right to create a local oil and gas regulations, as many other counties have already done. Don't allow one person to speak for 73,877 of us. Make our votes count, make democracy meaningful. Thank you.
So if you have already decided to appeal,
Well, I think it's important for our elected officials to support the people who vote them into office, and also to uphold Measure Z, which was, supported by 56% of the voters of Monterey County. I also think it shows leadership in the county that they're concerned about climate change, that they're concerned about the water, the air, the health of citizens of Monterey County. So I think it's really important that they join Monterey County in this appeal.
Yes, also now more than ever with an assault on local authorities by the federal government, which is much too influenced by the oil industry and other things. It's clear that the battle is going to be at local levels, and that it's critical that these local authorities, defend their right to make decisions to the best interest of the people of their area. That local authority is where the battle is going to continue. And under California law, these counties have really broad authority, and they should definitely not dismiss that. They shouldn't surrender that right, because we're going to need that pushback if we're going to begin to make progress on these important issues, the defense of water and the protection of our climate.
Financially, how much will it cost to continue this case? Do you know how much it will cost?
Well, we have spent tens of thousands of dollars. We have a lot of pro bono attorneys working on the case, but we've also had to pay for consulting work and research in this, and that will continue throughout. So I can imagine tens of thousands of dollars still needed for this battle. Ultimately, this is likely to be defended in the California Superior Court. So we're in a marathon right now, and we're certainly looking for as much support as possible to make sure that we're not going scrimping in order to give the best defense possible to Measure 7.
And so, as PMC was an intervener, so do you need to also appeal, or can an intervener
An intervener alone can appeal the decision as well. But I think it would be important for the Monterey Board of Supervisors to join in the appeal to show the citizens its support of the vote that they took. I think that what people blame Tech Monterey County for the cost, but really it's the oil companies that sue the county about this issue. So really the whole issue was brought about by the oil companies, and I think either way, whatever Judge Will's decision was, there would have been an appeal.
anything you want to add?
Can you repeat the question?
The question was essentially, you didn't have an intervener.
Yes, certainly we have the right to appeal this because we are a party to the case. But the larger issue of whether the county steps in, one is in terms of whether they defend and respect democracy. But secondarily, they need to step up and defend the rights of communities, of counties, of cities to exercise their policing authority and their authority over land use. I'm sure other counties and cities will be looking to Monterey County to see if they defend that, because other counties have already enacted bans on some of these activities and are considering enacting bans. And if Monterey County folds on this issue, it puts them in a bad position.
So much. Thank you.
My name is Andy Shop-Corn. I'm the head of the legal committee for Tech Monterey County.
Tell me, Andy, what are some of the responsibilities to seek from the supervisors here in Monterey County this morning?
Well, the supervisors really didn't comment. We came to ask them to consider our positions when they go into closed session, because they're going to talk about whether they intend to appeal a judge's decision that struck down about 2/3 of the initiative that was passed by 56% of the people. And we wanted them to know that the people expect them to defend that decision, to take it up to the appeals court, and try to explain why that's critical.
What makes it more important for them to appeal the judge's decision?
Well, if you look at it, especially on the federal level, all the decisions that we're making here in California, whether it's about offshore oil drilling or about legalization of marijuana or about sanctuary in the state of California, is all being challenged by the federal authorities. And the oil companies have basically said that our right to decide not to do some of these dangerous oil activities is preempted or superseded, trumped, if you will, by federal and state law. And we want want our supervisors to say, no, that's not the case. The people of Monterey County have the right to make these decisions to protect their water, health, and future. And the initiative process allowed us to bring this to the people, and the county has the authority to make these kinds of decisions, and they should defend those, even if it means taking it all the way into the California Supreme Court.
Anything else you might want to add?
Yeah, I think everybody should ask each one of their supervisors, are they with the people, or are they willing to fold on this issue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board met in closed session on items 1, A, B, and C on your agenda. The board, there's no reportable action on 1A, A, or B, and the sub-items under B. But there is a reportable action on 1C on your agenda, and the board will be unanimously to reject the claim of Cupul, Cruz, and Cupul.
Okay.